And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Interim Manager at WEIU. My co-host is Alicia Haynes.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. But from a concert. Straight back from a concert.
Yeah.
So if we get time, we'll talk about that. Our guest today, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about Kids Day 2019. We're going to talk about Jumpstart. We're also going to talk about food insecurity on campus and here in Charleston as well. So our guest, our Dr. Michael Gillespie.
Hi, everybody.
Beth Gillespie, I believe you know each other.
Yes, we've met once or twice.
And Crystal Brown over here, also from the Office of Civic Engagement. I'm not doing that entire long line. I'm just Office of Civic Engagement. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to let Michael start, all right, a little bit. And because last year when you were on, I think you brought a lot of awareness to a lot of eyes on campus with some of the studies you did. And we were shocked about some of the things that you were talking about. So let's just talk about what food insecurity is and what you've learned since the last time that you've been on.
All right. Well, the basic definition of food insecurity is not having access to adequate, healthful food on a daily basis. We usually think about when we're secure in our food, it being 3 meals a day. You kind of can eat through that food pyramid and whatnot. But when we think about food insecurity, it's where households or individuals don't have access to that. Oftentimes, the food that they do get isn't very healthful for their body, and they don't get all those meals per day that we generally think of when we think about what a good, secure food environment is.
Okay. And what really brought to light when you were here last time is the fact that a lot of Eastern Illinois University students are having issues with not being able to have access to quality food or even food, which is even scarier. So talk about the data and some of the things that you've really learned over the past couple of years doing some of these studies.
Yeah, for the past 2 falls, I've ran a survey with our students on campus. It's a non-random sample, goes out by email. They have a choice to complete it or not. And over the past 2 years, I've had nearly 600 students respond to it. This past year, it was about 224 students whose data were complete and sort of able to go through the actual analysis process. And the big number is that 38.4% of our students on campus show all the signs of being at risk of food insecurity. So risk is not a definite thing, but risk levels as they go up, we often see that they manifest in different ways for different people. And so food insecurity on campus looks like maybe only having 2 meals per day, not having enough money in their food account in the dining hall to get enough meals per day or to extend that over the period of what their contract is. Sometimes when they live off campus, it's not just having enough money because of other expenses to be able to go grocery shopping and to provide for themselves. So it's not a sort of one-size-fits-all or one-shoe-fits-all scenario. It's different for students based on what their different situations are and their conditions in which they're living. So there's lots of different layers to it.
When you looked at the data from this year to the previous year, was it about 38.4? Was it close?
Yeah,
to
it was a little over 39% last year, so we dropped down a little bit, which is not a significant change. Given the nature of the questions and how it was submitted and going through the rigors of all the statistical analysis, it didn't change so much that we would say that there's a big difference. We had done something to drop it.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so do students feel like this is just normal? Because when you mentioned this, I think back to when I was an incoming freshman and I had to pick, the housing and dining or the dining options. And I was thinking, well, I can go one day without eating, that'll be fine, or have 2 meals this day, because there's like a 7-meal plan, I think is the cheapest one or whatever. And so is this become something that's just normalized for students? Because when I was going through, I'm literally thinking of sacrificing a meal, going a day without a meal because I don't have a choice, but is this normal?
Right. Well, I guess it depends what the definition of normal is. Is normal is I'm a college student, this is what I can do, or normal in terms of being able to participate in the social norms of society. So then I would say it's not normal because that's not what the laws say and nutritionists say and those and people who know about sort of that health healthful aspect of it. So really, in that scenario, you're almost given a set of conditions or choices that really work against your best interest in terms of being able to provide a healthy, nurturing set of food for yourself.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's a good question because sometimes students have a choice on what they put into their body, and they make a choice a certain way. So I tease my students who show up to their 9 a.m. class with me with a Red Bull and a bag of Doritos, and that's what they want for breakfast. And that's fine, okay? Not the best meal in the world, but we've all been there, right? But the difference is if you show up with that Red Bull and a bag of Doritos because that's all you have and you don't have a choice to make that decision, that's food insecurity. But if you have a pantry full of food or you have a well-stocked refrigerator at home and you're like, oh, I feel like a Red Bull today, that's a lot different.
Yep, I get it. When you looked at the data over the past couple of years, I know you said the 38%, which is kind of shocking when you think about it, but was there anything else that really stood out that you're like the wow factor?
Well, I track other things about the students besides just their food insecurity risk. And one of my big interests as being a professor and being involved in different areas on campus is things like academic progress and how they feel they're progressing towards graduation and different things that they're doing. And based on the data, the students who show that they are at risk of food insecurity have a much lower percentage of feeling like they're making adequate progress towards graduation. It's about 78% versus over 90% for students who are not food insecure, and that's a significant difference. That's almost 15 percentage points difference. So there's something about that mix between feeling insecure about food, but also feeling insecure about other aspects of the student experience. They also have a lower percentage say that they're able to attend classes regularly, so they have more issues with class attendance, and their attention span in class is much lower than students who are food secure.
It makes sense. If you're hungry, your mind's probably not on taking notes or studying or reading or worrying about the next assignment.
Absolutely.
Well, it's easy to talk about the problems. Two questions here. Will you be doing another survey in the fall?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll go out in October.
And then what can be done about it? It's easy to find the problems because around here I always say, I don't need problem solvers, I want problem finders, or solution finders.
Right.
So what can be done?
Well, I think the first thing that can be done about it is just spreading the awareness of it. A lot of people still don't know, and a lot of people are shocked, which, every time I do this and I send out my reports, both on campus and then I do one for the community as well, there's always a big shock value. And so I think awareness is an important part of it. But then I think once we get past that awareness, it's putting it into action. And we have lots of great food outlets here in the county, especially in Charleston, with the Charleston Area Church's Food Pantry and many other places that have food assistance. The Newman Center has a small pantry in their basement which caters towards the campus community as well. But I think it's really something to be thought about having something actually on campus somewhere, whether it's a formal pantry or maybe some snack stations or different things that we can do as a campus to support each other and sort of put forth that effort to promote our students and make sure that they're doing what they need to do.
You smiled when he said an on-campus pantry. So is there something that's in the works or just something you just are
we know that we have almost 40% of our students who are struggling to put food on the table, and that it does have some academic outputs. And so there's been conversation. There isn't one at this point, but we are doing a lot of things to support our students and to try to normalize getting help. You talked about, is this normal, to make those decisions, and if you don't have an understanding of what food insecurity is, but you have made a decision where I don't have the money, so I'm going to skip food for a day. Now, having an understanding of what food insecurity is, you've got the language and the lens to start looking at that a little differently. But one of the things, when we take volunteers to the Charleston Food Pantry every single Thursday night, year-round, and our students typically qualify to get help from the food pantry because, as you may have noticed, Annalisa, being a college student does not pay you $1 million.
It does not.
And so we want our
5
students.
years later.
It doesn't definitely pay when you don't do your payroll. You like how I tied that all together?
I love how you told all of Charleston that I did not turn in my payroll sheet
I
today.
didn't say that. I said it could happen. Go ahead.
But we want to, when we're working in the Charleston Pantry, we want to make sure that we're treating everybody who comes in there with dignity and respect. It can be a very difficult thing to acknowledge that you need help, and especially in a town that's small like ours, you're going to run into people. There'll be familiar faces, whether you're at a food pantry or at a grocery store, and so just protecting that space and making sure it's safe for everybody, but then also helping our college students understand that this is a resource that's there for them as well.
And how do we overcome that, the indignity of it? Because if somebody can't afford food, but there's access to it, how do you get them over that hump to go try the pantry once or the soup kitchen once or the churches?
Well, I think it's a sort of a change in how we approach the subject, and really understanding that this issue affects more people than what we would think of on a daily basis. I mean, our students, it's pushing 40% in the community. Families with children, almost half in our community are at risk of food insecurity. Half, 1 in every 2 families, and so it's again, it's normal at those levels, but it's unnormal, right? It shouldn't be that high. And so just understanding how widespread this issue is, and that it's not an individual going through this, but it's a community problem, and it goes across the state, it goes across the country. It's a real issue that is really relevant and really real for more people. And so I think understanding that first is an important step, but then being willing to really accept the idea that we all need help every now and then, and there's people who are willing to give that help, who aren't going to judge you, who go talk about you or spread the list of people who come to the pantry that week. And you might just need to come once, you might need to come a couple times a month, you might need to come for 6 months, but it's going to help you get a leg up to where you want to be. And we all need a little help from our friends every now and then.
That's a really good quote. I think you stole it, but that's okay.
I'm an academic.
There you go. That's right. But in a serious question, though, I've also was reading this morning, about how much food the United States just throws away, tosses aside.
That's right.
That's the astronomical part that can solve some of this problem.
Right.
It's easy for me to say that, but is there a solution for the food we throw away that can be used?
It depends on how that food is procured. We have tried for a long time to kind of figure out how we can reuse food after certain events, but the problem is that there's health codes and things, and so anything that's not made perhaps in a commercial kitchen under certain requirements can't be passed on to maybe the homeless shelter or other areas. And so we have an easy time getting rid of things from our own pantries by just kind of dumping it in the garbage. But those things that might have a long shelf life, we can easily turn around and take to the food pantry and help out ourselves and get that food passed on in certain ways too. So canned goods are always good to donate. Anything that has a long shelf life, any non-perishables and things is just going to be a huge relief to somebody who's not going to have that. And so thinking about what we can do and getting creative, I think, is an important part of that.
Good answer. All right, let's switch to Kids Day and Jumpstart. We're 2 weeks away from EIU classes opening.
Yeah.
So where do we start? Do you want to start with Jumpstart and then get to Kids Day? Or?
I wanted to jump in with one more thing about the food insecurity and different ways that people can get involved and to do something about it. We have on our website a link. Our website is eiu.edu/volunteer for anyone who doesn't know. But we have a tab there that says, do you need help getting food? And that will take you to a sheet that has over 20 food pantries in Coles County. Okay. So if somebody is struggling, that is a really easy way to go and to get information, and it has all of the requirements. Do you need to live in Coles County? Do you need to bring photo ID? How often can you come? So that if you're struggling to put food on the table for yourself and for your family, that is a resource where you can get help almost on a weekly basis. Michael said, the Newman Food Pantry, which supports campus, if you have a Panther card, whether you're a student, faculty, or staff, that is a great way for you to go, and you can go there once a week and get food. And then we've got this incredible partnership with the Salvation Army that Crystal can talk a little bit about. But it's also being aware that organizations like the food pantries exist, being aware that the Salvation Army is working to do something about this, and then supporting those organizations as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we partner each summer with the Salvation Army to do the summer meals program. So it's free for anybody 18 and younger in the community. And this summer, we're already over 1,400 meals that we have served, just the kids here in Charleston in June and July. 1,400 meals.
Yeah.
There's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it. So let's say, let's say Michael and I had kids, and we met the eligibility so that our kid could get breakfast and lunch because of our income at school for free. And then the summer comes. It's not like our income would go up in the summer. I mean, I haven't found a job where my income goes up in the summer yet. But then all of a sudden, I've got the same amount of money, and now I have to come up with enough food for my kid to have 14 additional meals a day that the school was taking care of before. And so there's a huge gap. You can only spend your money once, and when it's gone, it's gone. And if you're looking at making a decision, do I pay rent or do I go and buy food? Those are really hard spots for people to be in. And so that summer meal is able to do something about it. At least we can provide lunch to help alleviate some of that.
Yeah, and we actually see the service levels at food pantries go up during the summertime, go up during holiday breaks, Thanksgiving week, and over the December and January holidays and those things.
It
Because
just seems like a really lot of meals for just Charleston so far. I mean, which is not a, I'm sure they wish they weren't that busy, right? So, wow. Jumpstart.
Yeah.
EIU 2019.
Let's jumpstart it up.
We're getting close.
Yeah, really close. Jumpstart is our biggest service event of the year. It's when all of the incoming students participate in a service project. And the reason for that is twofold. One, we want our incoming freshmen, transfer, and international students to understand that our campus is one that values giving back and taking care of our community. And we also want to help them explore. And it could be exploring a resource from the community, something like the Charleston Food Pantry, so that they know that it's there, they know they can access it if they need it. Or it could be a resource like the trails at Lake Charleston, which are these amazing trails less than 2 miles from campus. But if you're coming here from outside of Coles County or from another country, you're not going to know that this amazing place is within walking distance of campus. So we're wanting to send our students out to kind of help explore just our community at large. So we've got a handful of we actually have more projects this year than we've ever had before. We've got 36 different sites.
36.
Yeah, I think last year we had 18. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doubled your workload there, kid.
Well, I mean, with enrollment numbers going up, we had to work hard to find spots for everybody. Yeah, it's a great problem to have. So, but we're really excited. We're sending students new this year for Jumpstart to Aikman Wildlife Preserve.
Which love that place.
I know, it's amazing. It's the only drive-through wildlife preserve in the state of Illinois. We learned things when we went out and toured that apparently you can't take an endangered animal across state lines. It was not something I was expecting until I met that day. But it's really just spectacular, and it's fun. They have a nonprofit side, which we can help support, but then our students can also see that there are fun, cool things to do right here in our community that are not too far away.
Yep.
What are some
We
other
added
fun
the Great
ones?
Pumpkin Patch as well.
Yep.
Town of Casey. So not only are they helping the community, but then they can learn about all the big things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Why wasn't
They get a tour of all of the world's
exactly.
largest when they're done helping with the park cleanup. So we've got lots of really exciting things happening this year.
How many kids will be involved in Jumpstart? Do you have a number yet, or is I know?
We think it's going to be between 14 and 1,500 by the time it all shakes out. We got to see what orientation ends up looking like for the next couple weeks. We're just pretty excited about it.
And then Kids Day 2019, your partnership with WEIU, we're excited about that. October 17th on a Saturday, 10 to noon, right here in Buzzard. Air conditioning, bathrooms, water fountains, so we don't have
Clifford,
to be out in the
right?
heat.
And Clifford, right?
Yes.
But not October.
That's
Not-
October?
You said
Oh,
October.
August. I apologize.
Jumping
August.
through.
I jump started too far through.
Yeah.
August 17th, just a week from this coming Saturday, right?
Yeah, we're very grateful that Kids Day is going to be back part of Jumpstart. Has historically one of the favorites that our students have been able to sign up for, stay here on campus, get involved with kids, and do some good all at the same time.
There'll be all kinds of activities for kids to play, do, learn, enjoy, and have fun. Meet Clifford, and we're bringing 2 characters, and I'm having a brain lock on the second character. Right
Nature cat?
Nature
Yeah.
cat, that's
Nature
it.
cat.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, dog and a cat. There you go. So that's it, which will be, again, exciting and fun. And it costs nothing. You just come to Buzzard Hall on that Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, stay till noon. First Federal gives away a bike. We help with that. We have a blast. So, and it's community-wide. Anybody can come. Bring your kids, and I guarantee you they're going to have fun. And it's 2 hours of safe fun. And you're also on campus. So when the campus is really buzzing that day. So should be a good day. August 17th,
Yes.
2019, 10 to noon right here. So other things that we need to talk about today at any of the departments, I wanted to have some open time that I forgot about, or that way I wouldn't forget about anything.
We in Civic Engagement and Volunteerism are starting a brand new series this fall called Chasing the American Dream. And we are wanting to engage and connect with our students and help get them educated about current day events within our society and country leading up to the next presidential election. So there's going to be signature events that we'll have every month. This fall, it'll be September, October, and November. And the first signature event's going to be, we're doing a TED Talk. And so the first 50 students who register.
TED Talk?
Yeah, a
Okay.
TED Talk.
Okay.
So we're going to have 3 speakers. They each will get 10 minutes. The first 2 are going to be informational, and the third one's going to be like a call to action. So now that I know this, what can I do? And in November, our 3 topics are going to be how did 9/11 change immigration in the United States, current day impact of Islamophobia, and then the third speaker is going to talk about what are your free speech rights. So like, how do you have those conversations, and also what does free speech mean? What are my free speech rights? And the first 50 students who sign up to join us get a free meal while they're listening to this conversation. And again, because it's 30 minutes, we're not asking for a ton of time, and our topics will be different every single month. In November, we're going to be talking about the history of voter suppression, what does gerrymandering look like, and how do you be an engaged and active voter. So not a ton of time, free food, get educated, and come
It's very
and use your
topical with
voice.
the election coming up in just
Yeah.
a little over a year and a half, or not even a year and a half now, here in a few months. Michael, I want to ask you one other question about food insecurity. Are other universities, either in the state or out of the state, doing similar studies, and are they doing anything differently, or what are they doing? If you know?
Actually, yeah, it's becoming a real trend in some of the sociological and higher ed research is looking at student food insecurity. We know through a series of case studies or looking at individual schools, just different levels in different areas of the country about where this exists, and so they're starting to form now some nationwide sort of studies about this. But I actually have been working with a few people from around the country, namely North Carolina and in Arkansas, using a similar survey, and then we kind of compare results to see where they're at our different institutions as well. So the incidence of food insecurity ranges wildly across the country, and based on type of school and whatnot, it's been as low, we've seen, as anywhere from like 18% all the way up to 60%. Community colleges have a completely different sort of student base and sets of conditions than we would have here at Eastern, for example, where we have a lot of first-generation college students, but we also have a lot of college students from the area, and so there's institutional factors, but the one underlying thing is that it's real and it exists at different levels across these different institutions.
Only being a student here, I know sometimes I don't think you have a student, but since you've been here so long and do so much for us, but in seriousness, I mean, do you and your student friends talk about food insecurity? Is there issues, or is it something that comes up, or from a student point of view? I'd love to hear.
I think there's a stigma that is behind food insecurity, and I think it's one of those things where people don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of what you might, and we talked about it already, they're afraid what other people might think about it, but I've had friends, whenever, and this is just a family thing, whenever people come over, you always offer food to them, just regardless of whatever the situation is. But no, with my peers at least, we don't talk about it because I think there is that stigma.
So just was curious from your point of view. So thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Are there other factors out there that affect food insecurity that we don't think about? I mean, have we covered everything, or is there other things that you've learned in your studies?
I mean, I think that there's so many different layers and so many different levels to it that you can almost approach it from, looking at the cost of what it takes to go to school these days. You can look at it from the angle of what it means to be a student and a student worker somewhere. So having a job on or off campus and how you do that balance. Plus, the price of rent if you live off campus. There's so many different factors that go into it. Sometimes you don't even think about it. When I'm out in the community and I'm talking about these issues with community members, a lot of times, and that stigma on college students is, well, you're in college. You're a college student, right? Isn't that it? You either one are living the good life, or two, when I was in college, I ate ramen. Okay,
yeah.
So.
Or you always check the plate. Where were the free pizzas?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. But what we see now is those things are a strategy. Yeah. We know that students go to functions on campus if there is free food, not because they're necessarily interested, but because there's free food. We know that students take extra takeaway containers from the dining halls when they're allowed to, so that they have food for later. We know that if you have some kind of event, or there's a bunch of tables and some kind of fair happening in maybe one of the grand ballrooms, and you put out some granola bars or candy, you're going to be the popular table. Not because you put out granola bars and candy and that makes you cool. It's because they want it and they want to eat. And so yeah.
I think one of the things that Michael said to me or I heard him say in the beginning, is that it's very easy to hide. Hungry doesn't have a specific look. For most people, I get hangry, and so people can tell when something's wrong, right? But if you walked by someone and they were bleeding on the road or crying hysterically, you would stop and say, what can I do to help? How can I help you? But hungry doesn't have that one specific look. And so unless somebody trusts you and says, I haven't eaten in 24 hours, or I don't have access to food, it's not going to be evident that that's what's happening unless you're looking at the cumulative picture. What are their grades doing? How is their affect in the classroom? Are they getting engaged other places? And in college campuses, it's different than in a high school or an elementary school where you're being seen consistently by the same people throughout the day. There's so many different pockets here on campus. And so it can be really hard to see it. You had asked one of the things, what can you do? You can post in very public areas the list of food pantries that we have, so that people, if they're not comfortable asking for help, whether it's fear or shame of being fear of being judged or just shame about it, that it can be an easy, safe way for them to see that there is access here in town in ways that they can
30
get support.
different ones, I believe, is what Crystal said, right? So, I mean,
we actually have had parents call the admissions department asking if there were resources in the community available for some of these issues. And so last year I'd worked with the admissions department of putting together a list, which, as well with the CIVO, putting together lists of those resources. And now when they come for orientation, it's in their information packet.
I was going to
so
ask
they get
if it goes in their packet.
Yeah, it goes right in their packet. So they at least know if they flip through that there's something there starting them off on their way.
We have less than a minute to go. Anything I want to forget, or do you want to talk about kids day or something? I'll just leave the floor to our three guests today, Crystal, Beth, and Michael. Anything? Contact information if anybody wants to talk to you or anything?
Sure, yeah. You can email me at mgillespie at eiu.edu. You can probably search for me on the EIU website and get my page as well. But I'm always interested in getting out and talking about this stuff and educating. I'll talk to any group who's interested in learning about it. So, yeah.
Beth?
Yeah, I'd say if anybody's interested in getting involved, whether it's at the food pantry or just doing good in our community, shoot us an email at volunteer@eiu.edu or give us a call, 581-3967.
Crystal, any last words?
Also check out our website. All of our events, programming, the food assistance handout is all on there for everybody.
I appreciate you all three coming on this Monday. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We are WEIU.